Hello sweet friends and welcome to the Rebookery channel. Today we are going to work on Finding Your Style, episode number 9, the second part of it. So in the first part, we took all of our pages that we have created through Finding Your Style 2 and we turned them into a hand-stitched journal. Now, I told you that there was an alternative to that if you weren't feeling that hand-stitched journal vibe. And so my alternative would be to use a binder. So this binder was one that I picked up at a thrift store and I just didn't really know what to do with it, but it was too cute and I didn't want to just leave it behind. It is a 1984 Hallmark Cards binder. It is a really nice size. It's like 2 inches, and then this is 11.5 and this is 11.5. So it's not too big, and it is sturdy as heck, people. Very sturdy. And I love that this is a paper cover that I can glue or I can paint on top of this. My thought was to take this and just sand it down a little bit. So if you remember in my Christmas junk binders last year, where we took the binders, the Betty Crocker binders and stuff, and we turned them into Christmas journals, I'm gonna go through pretty much that same process. I would just kind of lightly sand over this just to rough it up a bit so that it becomes more porous and it's more accepting of glue. Then what I would do is I would come back and just like we did with the handbound journals, I would use my artwork as the cover. So you could paint this if you wanted a different color. You could cover it up with all of your artwork, do a bunch of collage on here. You could take one of your larger pieces. So this is a map paper, and I could cut it down so that it goes edge to edge. You'd even be able to do it here too, because there's nothing that like buckles or bends right here. You've got your buckle or bend right here on the edges. So you could put a strip of your artwork here and then some of your artwork back here. On the inside, you could do the same thing in your binder. You could put artwork here, artwork here. You can put in some envelopes. You could do actual painting and stuff right here on this. This journal can turn into your art journal. All you would have to do is just cover up the remnants of what it used to be. So as I kept this binder and could not figure out what to do with it, I came across these page protectors. And they're kind of a weird style of page protectors. I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's a pocket here and a pocket here. And then these skinny little pockets right here. So I contemplated whether or not I should even buy these. And finally one day I went back to the thrift store and I was like, all right, I brought the binder with me and I said, if these guys fit into this binder, then it was meant to be, and I'll buy these. So lo and behold, it fits perfectly. And so then I started to think, as I was putting this whole thing together with the binder and the Finding Your Style 2, I was like, what is a way, how could I incorporate these? All right, so check it out. Remember we talked about you have those pieces that are going to be the icing on your cake? It's the ones, oh sorry, there's a psycho fly flying around. That's going to be those pieces that we would put on the top level layers of our artwork. Well, as you cut them up, they could slide into these pockets and you could save them for a later time. So I thought, all right, that's perfect, because now I have a place to contain all of my pieces as I cut them up, and I don't necessarily want to throw them away. So how would I put my pages in here? I already know what I would do for the cover. Pages would go like this. I would take the pages and I would poke holes in them. I would use these holes right here as my template, and just like we did with our Christmas junk binders, I would line it up and then I would poke my holes. Now here's the cool thing about these binders. The holes are actual regular 8.5 by 11 standard 3-hole punch size. Here's some artwork that I did on some graph paper, and so it actually fits perfectly because the holes are a standard size. So I thought that was really, really cool. And so this is just going to be a great way to store my art. So what about the pieces that are too big? Let me find a piece that's too big. Okay, so what about these pieces that are too big? Well, you could do a couple of different things. You could turn it this way, okay, and then you could fold it. You could have an interactive journal. That's totally okay. You could also put this in and cut it down so that it fits. Now, if you remember when we did the hand-bound journals, we had to cut those pieces down to make our pages. So it's okay. That's the whole point of this, is we're going to take something that we've made and then we're going to modify it so that it becomes something useful. So it's okay if you cut it up. If it's something you don't want to cut it up, then maybe make it one of your end papers, or maybe make it one of the papers that goes on the cover. That was my thinking about these this binder, and I'm in love with this. I think this is a great way to organize your art. I think this is a great journal that you could have. Like, you could have all of your pieces in here and you just work in this as a journal. You can find your own binder. I'm sure you have a binder somewhere around your house. You could also go to a thrift store and see what you could find. You could use some of those old cookbooks that you have that are in binders. And the other thing is, when I bought this binder, I didn't actually just buy one. I bought 16. I bought the whole box. So I actually have 16 of these binders, and I have a whole stack of these page protectors. So I know I said I wasn't going to open my shop up until October so that I could give all my time and energy and effort to my babies at school. And that is very true, but you guys need a little bit of time and energy and effort too. So I am going to open my shop back up. I think I've figured out how I am going to list these in my Etsy shop. So again, here's the binder that we've been talking about. It's really, really sturdy 1984 Hallmark binder that is just an odd size. It's not an 8.5 by 11, but it's not a 12 by 12, but yeah, it's super cool. Another thing I love about these binders is the paper that the Hallmark company used. So on the inside, this is like a matte paper. And like I said, this is super, super sturdy. I don't even know if I would cover this up. It is so cute, just the background as it is. And wouldn't this be an amazing background just for your own art? You could paint on this. You could do some ink on this. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what this paper will do. I don't know what the glue is underneath. You could just sit there and doodle. You could collage on it. So just taking this and using it as your cake plate or your bottom layer, that right there is kind of cool. And you could do that on both covers. The other thing that I really like about it is just the actual cover itself. Now, while this is more of like an 80s motif, and maybe you want an 80s motif, which, you know, the 80s is coming back. Actually, my art friend that I teach with at school, he tells me that the 90s is in, but he is also a whole decade younger than me, so that may be just a generational thing. But anyway, so this has got the 80s motif. If you, and this is what I would do, I would just lightly sand this just to kind of get the sheen off a little bit. It's not super shiny, but there is just a little bit of a sheen. I would sand this, lightly sand it, and then it would be more receptive to taking paint and ink and glue. And then you could just have this be a working piece of art. You know, you just grab this, sit down on the couch in front of the TV, grab a couple of pens, and you just start doodling, or you add some splashes of paint, and this could actually be a piece of artwork. You could even do this edge right here. You could do this back here. So there's lots of things that you could do with this binder, and because it's not plastic like one you could, you know, you would go buy in the store. Most binders are covered with plastic. That's why this one is so cool to be able to use for art, because you can actually put your own art on here. So I went ahead and put one together to kind of show you guys what it could look like. I didn't do the cover. I just went ahead and did the inside. So here's what I found out as I was playing around with it. These 3 holes are standard 3-hole punch side. So you could use this standard, if you have a 3-hole punch like this, you could use this to easily punch holes into your papers that you wanted to put in here, which is what I have done. And that streamlined the process so much. So in mine, I have just put some of my pages that I've done, like artwork that may be used as my cake plate, like the bottom layer or the background. Or it may be something that I cut up or I tear apart and just use parts of it. I just put the 3-hole punch in and then stuck them in here, and now they're good to go and they're ready to be used in my journals. I also went through and found there's some stuff that I have that are just kind of, it's just weird paper. Like, you know, these are some old drawings from one of my kiddos, and I've always wanted to do something with these, but they've always been like scattered about my room, like they're in a drawer or they're over here on a shelf. And so putting them in here really just kind of keeps them at the forefront of what I want to do. And now I'm going to put these, I've kind of got an idea of how I'm going to work these into a journal spread. So I just put some holes in these guys and put them in here, and I just folded this one because I knew it would come out a little bit. And then here's what I did with my page protectors. So in this one, I just added some paper scraps that were pretty small, but I still wanted to use. So this is some wallpaper, and this is just some images from a nature magazine or a nature book. And then what I found was these guys, the pockets are 4 by 6, which is perfect because it will fit the pictures that get printed out in my printer. And so this is a great way because, again, I'm always looking for my pictures. Like, what did I do with them? I know I printed them off. Are they over here? Are they in this drawer? Are they in this box? So if I have something that I know I want to scrap or I want to journal, I will just tuck it in this pocket. And if they're ones that I've cut up, they're ready to go, I can just slip them in a pocket right here. So the next page protector I used was just kind of, things don't have to fit in here perfectly. So like this is a list of some things that I have that I wanted to keep and I've had for like a million years. You can see it's got coffee stains and everything. And again, just never knew where it was, but always wanted to use it. This is some decorative paper, just a little scrap of it. This is the only piece that I have left. So I tucked it in here, and now I have this stuff ready to go when I want to use it in my journal. So I also found that a regular 8.5 by 11 page protector works perfectly in here too, which is great because I can tuck in like bigger items. So this is an envelope that I did some painting on, and I want to use this in a journal spread. I didn't necessarily want to poke holes in it, so I just folded it up and tucked it in this page protector. Now I have a complete kit, if you will, that's ready to go. Everything is nice and organized in this binder. I've got some of my authentic art. I've got some pieces that I want to use. I have scraps. I have photos. And I could take this with me anywhere. I could take it outside. I could take it over in the living room, and I could sit on the couch and just pull what I needed out of it. So this was like, it was enlightening because I guess I'd not made the connection that this would be such a usable size. So this made me happy. And once I got happy about this, I went and started looking for some other things that I could put in here. So if you have ever bought anything from me in my Etsy shop, chances are it came in a page protector if it was some ephemera, because being a teacher, I come across these page protectors all the time and the kids will throw them away, and I love to recycle them. So I just went and grabbed a couple of wrapping paper packs that I have in my Etsy shop, and I wanted to see, okay, will these work? So sure enough, these guys, because they are 8.5, standard 8.5 by 11, they are going to fit in perfectly. And I know that does not seem very revolutionary, but for me and my brain, I was just like, oh my gosh, this totally works. It totally makes sense. So check this out. Now I have even more journaling ephemera in this kit. I mean, it's like, it's compact, it's good to go, it's sturdy, it's got everything I would need. All I would really need would be to grab my journal and take this with me and maybe some pins and some glue. Or I could even put in loose pieces of paper, and these could be the things that I journal on. I don't even need a journal. I could just put in some papers with 3-hole punch in them, and those could be my pages that I journal on. I don't know why, but this just really made a lot of sense to me. So this is super cool, and I love how all of this stuff fits in here, and that makes me very happy. So this was the one that I kind of put together for myself. Let me show you what one would look like that is going to be in my shop. So in my Etsy shop, I have 16 of these guys that I am going to be listing. So of course you get the binder, like I said, totally sturdy binder, just like built by NASA maybe, I don't know. And then I will be able to put, I had just enough that I would be able to put 3 of these pocket page protectors in each of the binder. And again, they are so versatile. You could fill them up with whatever you want. You could even put fabric scraps in here. Oh, let's see if I can do this the right way. There you go. And then I will also put in an 8.5 by 11 page protector. Now, here's where I'm totally excited. So, do you remember how in Finding Your Style 2, I told you that I would just fill up journal upon journal and paper upon paper, and just with all of these crazy artwork sessions that I would have, and I ended up with, you know, all these pieces that have just kind of sat around and I really haven't done anything with. Okay, so I went through and I pulled out 16 of my favoriteest pieces of art. And you may think it's art, you may not think it's art, and that's okay. This was just, remember, this is just me playing around with paint and collage and papers and glue and stickers and tape and inks and things like that. So I think that was 16 there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to slip a piece of my artwork into each one of the binders for you to have to use in your journaling. Okay, so each one of them is original. Each one, there are no copies. These are the actual originals. I've signed each one, like put my little initials down here. And the only thing I ask is that you please just don't like reproduce it, scan it, copy it, sell it, you know, use it for purposes other than just your own personal art. I think these would be great to cut up and add in your own collage. You could certainly add on to it, so use this as your background or your cake plate, and then you add some stuff on top of it. Yeah, I thought this would just kind of be a cool way to personalize each one of these binders. And you know, even if you didn't want to maybe cut it up, you could put it on somehow. You could cut this off or somehow make it work, and this could actually become the cover of your journal. So yeah, and I think what I'm gonna do is I will just list these with the picture of the art that you will get like next to the binder. So you will get to choose which piece of art you want. So yeah, so that's how I'm thinking about doing these binders. And here's the thing, if you are watching this video right now, that means that these guys are already in my shop. So if you are interested, head on over and take a look at what I have. And then one more final thing. I have another shop restock or shop update coming later this week, and it is super exciting. I want to hurry up and get going on it because I'm like just so ecstatic. But it is going to be, again, sorts like a journal, and it's going to be more of a bound journal. So it won't be the binder, but it will be something closer to what my my bound journal was that I made in the Finding Your Style 2 series. So look for that to be coming up later this week. All right, my friends, I hope you're healthy. I hope you are happy. I hope you do something creative today, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.